Hi everyone, I'm Bert Weldon. I was born and raised here in Toll House. I'm a proud 1974 graduate of Sierra High. My education at Sierra High and the unified schools was very exceptional. Its culture and teachers helped instill in me the old school work ethics and all-around values that are still much needed today. Between 1980 and 1989, while living in Oregon, I served on the Lake County Roundup Association Board. I also served on the Fair Association Board for a few years, and then served as the Lake County Fair Board President from 1988 through '89. While serving on these boards, I worked with a budget funded from both the local county and the State Fair Association in order to run the Lake County's annual fair, rodeo, and horse racing events. I also worked as a road equipment operator and lead supervisor for the County and President Road Department in both the Del Rey and the Auberry Yards. My budget-related responsibilities with the county was mostly on the accountability end of things where the rubber meets the road. I was responsible for assisting in and establishing and maintaining inventories of all equipment, road materials, tracking road material usage, and a lot of problem solving and getting jobs done within budget shortages, equipment shortages, employee shortages. I have a great time. I've had a great experience in working with others on boards and committees. I know there will be a lot of new learning needed for a newly elected board member, but I have the commitment, desire, and passion to serve on this board for our community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. We'll turn now to Connie Schleifler, who is a current board member. Did I pronounce that wrong?
It's a long A, Schlafer.
Schleifer.
Well, I've been watching the debate, so I know that now is the time for me to thank everybody and not answer the question. Thank you, Dr. Clay, and Toby Wade and the Lions Club, and Suda, for putting this together, and for all of our community members that are coming out tonight. I know it's hard. I feel it as well, and so I hope that it is a productive time for you. My background, I also am a proud chieftain. I graduated in 1984, left to join the Air Force. I spent 24 years in the Air Force as an engineer, mechanical engineer. I was sometimes a student, sometimes an engineer, and sometimes a teacher. When I retired in 2009, my family moved back here to Toll House, where we wanted to raise our children. So that's my background. Why or what I bring to the board. Well, I finished my first term, and I can tell you there is a huge learning curve there, and so I have admittedly learned a lot and still have a lot to learn. I'll tell you about the things that I look at when I'm voting for a board member. I'm looking, I like to see parents on the board. I have 2 7th graders, and I like to see parents with kids all over the district. I also look for a history of involvement with the district. And in addition to serving on the school board, I served on the school site council, boosters, bond campaigns, and so I have a long affinity working here and a passion for this district.
Thank you very much.
I'm ready.
Thank you very much, candidate Schleifler. Let's turn now to the next candidate, Chris Roseland.
Good evening. I'm Chris Roseland, and I'm looking to be a member of the board up here in the future. I'd like to give you a little bit on my background. I'm not a life member of the Toll House or the Foothills. I moved here approximately 6 years ago with my family from Rhode Island. We located here in this area. I was taking over as the supervisory special agent for the Naval Criminal Investigative Service office down in Lemoore. But we moved up here to Toll House because of the school system. Looking at the area and doing the testing and the results of all the different schools, and having 2 wonderful kids that I knew were going to go through school up here, or in the area, The only two districts that looked any good were Clovis and Sierra. And we chose this area because we love the mountain community, and it was something that I thought was a great place to raise our family. For the last 2 years, I've been the president of the Foothill Elementary Site Council. I've done what I could and tried to move things forward on the local control accountability plan and try and have input as a parent on the board to kind of shape the environment and the things that we have going on with our kids. I'm a single father, as I said, raising two beautiful children who are here tonight in 4th grade, and they've been in the system since kindergarten. And I'll tell you, as a parent, I've been very, very happy with this district. Most of my adult life I've had in service to this country, working for the federal government. As I said, I was with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service before I retired, and I had 27 years in federal law enforcement, the last 10 years as a supervisory special agent. I've coordinated with federal, state, and local agencies and done activities all over the world in servicing our government. I bring ethical and experience, leadership, and I hope I can be your next member for the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roseland. That was excellent. Now we turn to our next candidate, Carrie Quintana. Mrs. Quintana.
Thank you. I'm Carrie Quintana, and we've been in this district since 2005. We moved up into the foothills. We were from Clovis, and when my son Keenan was 9 months old, I was looking at schools already because you can't plan too early where you're going to raise your kids. So Sierra was on my list, and we actually ended up building up here and plugged our kids into school as soon as we could. Zane, my youngest, is in 7th grade. Keenan graduated in 2016 from Sierra High School. Did very well in his school. He's at Fresno State University now. I'm very happy with our school. I love our community and the community input, all the foundations I volunteer at. I see many of you there. So all of your faces I've served before with Polo Fest or Josh Hansen, and it makes me proud to be a part of this community. I wanted to dig a little deeper and get involved in school board issues and just be a bigger part of education here. My youngest is hard of hearing, so we've gone through a lot of training. Special education is one of my things that I'm very passionate about. I've been at the same job for 28 years. The last 24 years I've been in the finance department, and we're responsible for about $11 million a week bringing in for the cash flow to keep our company afloat. I've trained on some special training, and they're the Kaizen principles. And I wanted to read a few of them because I think it would add some value to the board. And it's just critical thinking. One of the Kaizen is a Japanese business philosophy, if you've never heard of it. It's just working practices, making things efficient, positive changes on a regular basis. So one of it is there is no blame game. Think positive, don't say can't. Don't wait for perfection. 50% improvement is great. Correct mistakes as soon as they are found.
Carrie, thank you very much.
Well, I have some.
I know. You'll have another chance to speak, and you can continue that wonderful list. Thank you
I
very
didn't
much.
see this sign.
Okay, now we turn to a current board member, Chrissy Falk. Would you present yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Chrissy Falk, and she's got some good stuff. I look forward to hearing more about that. Thank you all for being here tonight. It means a lot to us. I have been a community member up here for about the last 18 years. My husband drug us out of the city and moved us up here. He's a country boy at heart, and he turned me into, I guess, a country girl at heart. Anyway, so we have raised our 3 daughters. 2 have graduated from Sierra High School, going all the way through the system, through Sierra Elementary School and on through Sierra High School. The first one graduated in 2014, the second one this past year, and we have a junior still in the high school. So I feel very connected to the schools here, very passionate about what we're doing and the product that we're turning out. I graduated from Fresno State, and I graduated as a teacher, so I went and taught 4th grade and 5th grade. And from there, I also did a tiny stint as an administrator, which gives me a huge respect for everybody in administration. I decided to stay at home with my daughters and raise them. And about 7 years ago, I went into work in the business field. So I work with marketing departments all over the U.S. and help them with marketing and their product development and I guess just marketing their companies. So that has been my focus. I also have been very involved in a lot of the community outreach here. I was the president of the Boosters Club at Sierra Elementary School, at Foothill Middle School. I've been on site councils. I was the president of the Sierra Foundation. My husband and I brought Polo Fest to the community. So that's been a big boon. And then a few years ago, I decided to take a turn at becoming a board member.
Okay, thank you, Chrissy. So tough to get all that squeezed in, isn't it?
I know.
Remember, your audience has everything in front of them in paper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now we turn to another current board member, Ron Eldridge.
Good evening. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Myself and my wife have both lived here most all of our lives. All three of our children have been through the entire school system and recently graduated. A couple of them are Fresno State, the other working in the community and going to City College. My extended family has been through the school system for 4 generations. But the first graduate back in 1944. So you could say we've got some history. We're actively involved throughout the community, whether it's coaching basketball, supporting FFA functions, Sierra Athletic Boosters, all kinds of things. Out of high school, I went into the Navy for 4 years, where I learned leadership, how to work together as a team, drive, determination, those kind of qualities benefited me greatly. Currently, I work for CAL FIRE. I'm a deputy chief in charge of law enforcement for the southern region from Tuolumne County to Mexico. So I supervise about 70 police officers throughout the state. I've been very proud to be the board president for the last 2 years. For me, when I think about decisions that I have to make on the board, the first thing that comes to mind is how does it best benefit our kids? And then directly after that is, do we need to involve the community and have that conversation with the community? I think that's how we're best suited as a board to, do what you elect us to do. So I appreciate your support and hope to have it on the board. Thanks.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for being succinct. And our last candidate is Courtney Burke.
Hello, and thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I'm Courtney Burke. Some of you may have known me better as Courtney Jones. I also was born and raised here in the mountains all through Aubrey Elementary, Foothill, and Sierra. I graduated in 2001 and decided I had to go somewhere else for a little while. So I went to Sonoma State University, got very involved up there, and stayed with an advertising agency until having my own children and decided I wanted to move back here. This is where I wanted to raise my kids. So I currently have a kindergartner and a 21-month-old at home. Kindergartner goes to school here, of course, but I decided to be very active in as much as I could as far as school goes so far. I opened a business in Aubrey called the Freight Station in 2013 and am trying to obviously do shipping stuff, but also marketing and advertising for the local community. I've put together a piece called Our Towns, which hopefully gets businesses out there into the community in a nice, colorful fashion. And now I would like to delve deeper into working with the school district and the students, the teachers, and the parents. I think sometimes communication is key. Sometimes it may be missing or could be made stronger. And as a mass communications major from Sonoma State, I think I have the tools, the knowledge, and the ability to help in that department so the community feels closer to the school district, which is our children and is our future. So I look forward to learning more about what's going on with the schools financially, as well as between the projects, the teachers. I think the school district has finally turned a positive note with children, attendance increasing and some of the financials coming back. So I look forward to being part of the next 4 years with everybody's vote and blessing for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Excellent. Well, what a great group of candidates we have. Let's turn now to some questions that have been provided by the National Board and also by our local teachers union. We begin with Bert Weldon. Bert, I have just a few questions. Now, we've used up much more time than I expected, so I've asked Carson to limit us to 5 minutes for each candidate, and you may have 3 or 4 questions, so try to be succinct if you could.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, Bert, let's see, you graduated from Sierra High. My question to you is, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges in the district?
Opportunities, we've got, we need to get back to what we were in the academic world, I want to say. We have some technology issues. We need to get, grant money forward, divert money, around or something, because our kids are lacking in the technology and, computers and such for the kids. There's one thing I know for a fact, because I was there in the ag department, they are still handwriting the invoices for the kids. And, how many 1974s can we go through? So, but no, we need to upgrade various fashions, and, we need to personally try to get some of the vocational classes back. There's a lot of kids come out of there and they go to work right straight out of high school, myself included. And I've done well for myself. I know 100 more that's done well for themselves just straight out of the school, out of the vocational classes, and we need to do that.
Bert, another question. Describe your view of the roles of the school board and the superintendent. What might be the ideal relationship in your mind?
Ideal? We all need to work together without arguing, and we're going to have our discussions and arguments, but, we just need to get to the point, be moving on, and, everybody agree, and, sooner the better, in my opinion. We can sit here for an hour and talk about one item, but we're not, and me, I'm just cut to the chase, let's get her done type guy. And, no, we all need to work together, closely together, in a comfortable environment.
Thank you, Bert. How do you view your role as a board member in addressing parental or site principal concerns that might occur on one of the campuses? Suppose someone brought an issue to you individually.
Yeah, if they brought me the issue, I would ask, obviously they tell me the issue, and then I would just ask them, there's that chain of command that you need to go through. Has that happened? If that hasn't happened, then, I would highly suggest that you start there, then we'll move on from there. But I would follow up and inquire with this individual later to make certain that it's done, so we as a board can move forward.
Excellent. Your final question, Bert, is if the district should favor a bond issue, how might you support that issue?
Obviously, I don't know what that particular issue is.
Or how might you support a bond issue in the community?
No, I know what you.
Because we're a very conservative group and we watch our pennies very carefully.
Well, we need to.
Yeah.
I would, if it's good for the school, good for the kids, good for the staff, then it's good for the world. We can just, that's how I base some of my beliefs on. If it's good for the family, let's move forward.
Excellent, Bert. Thank you. Those are the only questions I have for you. I hope others will have theirs answered as quickly and nicely. Let's turn to current board member Connie Schaffler. Connie, I'm going to ask you the same question with regard to opportunities and challenges in the district.
Okay, well now I'm under some pressure here. So I think that our biggest opportunities right now are carrying on, we spent a couple of years now putting updated curriculum in the classrooms, into the teachers' hands. But as Bert mentioned, technology is a big issue. And it's a big issue from kindergarten through 12th grade. And it's a big issue for college-going kids and career-bound kids, because everybody is going to deal with technology. So that is an opportunity that we are starting to tackle now. And another one is the career technical education. We've made some headway there with the medical careers pathway, but we need to beef up our other pathways, giving some sort of certification that makes our kids even more marketable. Challenges, after 4 years on the board, I can tell you that the challenge is prioritizing needs and resources.
Excellent. With regard to that, can you describe the achievement gap that exists at Sierra High as to its causes and possible solution?
Okay, so the achievement gap is when academic performance is predicted by demographics, by what ethnic group you're in or what your household income is. We have those kind of gaps, especially with our kids that are at and near the poverty line, with our Native American kids, and with our Hispanic kids. So what do we need to do to fix that? Well, first of all, we need to provide supports that help all kids that are having academic difficulties. But another issue, and it gets more and more important as kids get older, is engagement. And we have taken some steps to make kids feel more safe and more connected to the school, not just in the classroom, but as a school community.
Thank you for that. My last question is, I think Mr. Weldon mentioned the destination district. The district has set goals towards becoming a destination district. What programs and personnel are necessary to achieve this status, would you say?
Well, you know, we have just gone through a pretty extensive long-range planning process. And the vision and the goal of that process was to bring Sierra into this destination district vision. And so I think that things that we laid out there are what I would suggest for this list, which is, you know, we need to bring technology up to date. We need to recover some facility maintenance that has really gone by the wayside as we struggled through the last, especially 6 to 8 years. And we need to keep the incredible staff that we have right now.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's all I have. We turn next to Chris Rosalind. Chris, you served as president of the Foothill Elementary School site, and you bring 27-year work history of federal law enforcement. What do you see as the opportunities and specific challenges in the district today?
Well, some of the challenges, and it's not to say that the district's not doing everything right, but we've had some recent testing, the CASP report that came in that basically said that approximately 57% of the elementary kids were below the standard that we needed to be at. So there's some areas that we can improve. I think what we need to do is we need to put some targeted resources in some of those areas, whether it be training for the teachers or staffing. But I also believe, as Bert and Connie have said, that we've got to have a strong technology piece. I see how fast my kids are just growing with the technology that we've done. We've got somebody, Joni Lloyd, here at our school that just embraces it. The kids learn so fast. It's incredible. So I think take some of those people that are inspiring the kids, especially in technology, some of those teachers that are bringing things, like some of the multimedia stuff going on at the high school, encourage that, try and put that in the bottle and apply that to some of our shortfalls.
Excellent. Thank you for that reply. I'm drawing a question from your profile in which you state that you would work to increase parent and community participation through school and community programs. Can you be more specific? So what you had in mind?
Well, I think that as a representative of the board, you are a salesman. I think that we set the direction, we do the oversight for the district, and I think we need to constantly be pulsing our community on how things are going, or as Ron said earlier, to make sure that we've got the right consensus to make the decisions for the future. I think there's a couple of technology pieces that we might be able to do down the road. Maybe instead of having a website that people have to hunt to find out what's going on in the district, maybe have some things that are pushed out. I think we all know about spam and get plenty of it. Well, I think the district could probably push some more things out to sell what we're doing, some of the good accomplishments that we're doing.
So more publicity and more
Marketing.
marketing. Okay, there you go. My last question for you, Chris, is can you describe in your view the role of the teachers union and also the role of other stakeholders in the district?
Well, I think the teachers union is our, other than the children, our key element here for the schools. I have met and had the pleasure of working with my children, with many of the teachers here at Foothill, and there are rubber to the road. They are the only people that are going to be able to implement and make this district what we want. I personally think that there's probably some things that we can do. The suggestion I talked recently with some folks about, that we have a Student of the Month program where we recognize and we teach our children to inspire, to be creators, to be leaders. Well, I think we should do something like that for the teachers. And I understand right now there's not a whole bunch of monetary things or things that are out there to give them, but I think we need to be creative. I think we need to do something on a monthly basis to identify our teachers that are really getting it, that are fixing the problems. And I think there's a lot more we can work in that area to help recognize them. I know there's not as much money as we'd like to give them, and I know they've made a lot of sacrifices, but we need to work with them as a close partner.
Thank you, Chris. I hope you get the chance to do that next year. We turn now to Mrs. Quintana. Carrie, as a candidate, you remind us that you're a native Californian who has experience in finance and account management. With that thought in mind, would a 400-page budget bother you, and how does one determine if it's a good budget for the system? That's your strength, right?
Yeah. I don't think a 400-page budget would bother me, but you have to make sure that it's fiscally sound, and you have to make sure that all the funds in there, you know, if you look at the financials, $15 million a year that runs this district, you have to make sure that everything that's in there that you draft as a board with the superintendent. I don't think it's going to be new information to me. I think it'll be very familiar as you draft it together. I'm responsible for cash flow for our company, so I don't really touch on budget, but I know that what we have to do to get our budget made.
Excellent, thank you. The district works under a local control accountability plan. Are you familiar with that at this point?
Somewhat.
Somewhat. I was going to ask you, it shows an achievement gap between certain subgroups. Do you have any ideas as to what those gaps are and how we might address them?
Well, as Connie mentioned, we have, when we were identifying our subgroups in program improvement, when it rolled out like 3 years ago, we were just trying to identify how to improve upon that. And again, it would be our native group that is just staying flat, and our low income group. And I really like what Foothill is doing right now. They have their response to intervention, and Candace and Lori and Nikki are working towards trying to close that gap. And so they have pull out, they've tested kids, and they'll pull out 6 kids, so 6-to-1 ratio, and then they just work with that group. And so it's just using our resources wisely and trying to identify it. We're a small school, we should be able to grab these kids. I don't like that they're in groups, but it's measurable. And I think that we just really have to identify them, and really each student matters, and just try to close that gap.
Thank you. A question about decision making. What are the factors on which you would base your decisions as a school board member in the district? I think everyone should have an opinion about that.
Yeah, I really think that our opportunities are that we are starting the technology rollout, and that we're writing a solid plan for it. and we have to get technology in every student's hands. I believe that the test scores that Chris mentioned are on the lower side because they were done by computer, and not all of our kids are skilled, so they don't know how to use the mouse, and properly, if it freezes up, they're lost. So I really think that, you know, we were right up there in a lot of our groups test-wise, and we're very competitive with other districts and counties. So once the technology rolls out, I think we're going to be great. Our career tech programs are doing well. Our ag is second to none. We're very competitive in ag. That's one of the reasons I chose this district, because I've heard about it since the 80s. The Actus is doing great things at Sierra. So ag is doing wonderful. Our career tech pathways, like Connie mentioned, you know, we just got to get them certifiable, like get a certification as you leave, lock out that door, so you can have opportunities. Our teachers are practicing the engagement where Zaid comes home, and you know, my youngest one in 7th grade, instead of just sit and get methods that we were used to, teachers just sit and talk to you, they're using engagement, and I think that that's big, because then kids are sitting in groups. If you're shy, if you're not shy, you're just coming out and you're talking with your peers, and it's really getting the knowledge out there. So I love that part about it. The challenges is identifying and help every child maximize their learning. Our advanced students as well. So if you're advanced, we need to keep pushing them harder. We need to get every group, just keep pushing and giving them support. Our special needs group, we need to just write solid goals for them and celebrate in their success.
Thank you very much. That was very good. Very heartwarming.
You gonna give me another one?
No, but if we have a few minutes, I'll let you, at the end, I'll let you go through your other ones.
Okay, thank you.
We'll now turn to a current board member, Chrissy Falk. Chrissy, you provided us with a wealth of views on the current challenges and opportunities in the district in your profile. Would you briefly summarize it for us?
Sure. I think that some of the opportunities that we're facing are we're getting ready to pay off the COP on this site, which is very exciting. We're coming out from underneath that burden that we've dealt with for years. We have solar going in that's going to save our district lots of money, and that is going very well. We have many things going in our favor right now. Sandy Bluffs is now accredited, which is a huge accomplishment, and kudos to the staff that worked so hard to get that done. We've seen better financial times than we've dealt with in the past, so we've been able to restore some of the things. Some of the biggest challenges that we're facing, though, are the technology issue. That is a real big one, and that is something that we have to address.
That keeps coming up repeatedly, I'm hearing.
It does.
Hearing you strong.
Well, you know, we did this very thorough long-term planning process over the course of a few months, and we really worked hard to bring in the community, bring in our staff, and get everyone's input on what they needed to see in the district and what mattered to them. And that was the number one that came out for the near future, was we need to get technology in place. So currently we're waiting on a technology plan to be rolled out by staff.
Is that a document, a long-range plan that might be available?
Yes, it is. It is.
You want it?
At some point, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. You've been on the board a while, so describe your views of the roles of the board and the superintendent. How do they interact appropriately?
You know what? The role of the board members and superintendent is truly a critical role, because you're working as a leadership team. And if you don't understand how critical that is for the forward movement and momentum of the district, it's going to be problematic. Fortunately, everyone is working towards the same goal, and that is student achievement. But in it, there has to be a lot of trust. There has to be a lot of good conversation. It's important that the board members support the superintendent, and the board members are the board members are 100% the voice of the community. So it's our job to bring to the superintendent things we're hearing about, and it's our job to really communicate the needs of the community. I guess the best way to describe it is be a strong leadership team.
Excellent, excellent. And we've heard others mention their ideas about the so-called achievement gap that's now presently recognized. What are your thoughts about that and its causes and solutions? Do you have the answer?
I do.
Okay.
I actually feel that the achievement gap starts very young, and there was every year we have the opportunity as board members to go to a conference called the California School Boards Association Conference, and one of the pieces of information that they shared this past year, and I'd like to read this, is that, let me see if I can turn away from the page where I have it written down, but it talks about, okay, here we go. Statistics show that in a professional family, a child hears 2,150 words per hour. In a working family, 1,250, and in a public assistance family, 600 words per hour. By the first day of kindergarten, based on these numbers, the child of a professional family has heard 30 million more words than a child in a family on public assistance. Once they enter school, the gap is already huge. And that is, to me, that's where we've got to start. It is huge. By the time our teachers get these kindergartners and these transitional kindergartners, that gap is already in existence. So it's going to be through doing a lot of interventions in that birth to 5 years. And our district has talked about some things to bridge that gap.
Excellent. Thank you for those thoughts. We turn now to Ron Eldridge. Ron, Mr. Eldridge, you're a current board member. Your profile also mentions many of the ongoing issues which we've touched on thus far. What do you see as the foremost challenges and opportunities in the district from your view?
As far as opportunities go, and most of them have already been captured, but directly in front of us, paying off our COP for the site, that's going to be huge. That'll free up some funding. Our solar project that's just about complete. We've got aging facilities that we need to deal with. As far as probably one of our biggest challenges that we have in front of us is the employees' contribution rate or the district's contribution for retirement. That's going from 8% to 20% contribution. That's going to be a huge hit to the district. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we've got directly out in front of us that we're going to have to figure out.
Wow, that sounds like a significant hurdle.
It is.
Did that blindside you, or did we know that was?
It's being tiered in, so we kind of had an idea it was coming. Although this was one of the governor's plans that he implemented and said, guess what you guys are going to do. So it's one of those things that we have to deal with.
Start to Sacramento then.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned in your profile you had a goal for student technology. Would you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think we as a group beat that up pretty good. But I think we all have a similar goal, and what we've identified is that we've got a lot of work to do in the technology part to be competitive in the 21st century. Our kids are behind. When they go through the testing system, which is all computer-based now, we struggle, and there's a direct correlation with that and our testing scores. And so, that's probably, in terms of, one of the great things that we did was put together the long-range planning, and I think just about on every list, technology is at the top.
So if monies became available, you'd start with technology issues, and then what would come next in your view?
Well, to tag on to the achievement gap issue, and to the point that Chrissy just made, I think fundamentally that starts at the earliest age possible. And so I think we need to seriously take a look at funding some kind of a preschool, kind of an all-day kind of preschool. One of the other challenges that we have is because we have no industry on the mountain anymore like we used to, is a lot of the parents are both working and they're both commuting to Fresno to work. And so out of convenience, a lot of times we lose students in this district because they put them down there because there's nowhere for their kids to be. So if we had an organized full day preschool type setting where some of it's academic and kind of daycare kind of combined, where they can drop the kids off in the morning and get them on their way home, we may have a chance of keeping them students up here on the hill. And it deals with that achievement gap.
I'm going to let you blow your own horn on this question. In your view, what has the district done well over the last 5 years, and what areas need attention? I think you've addressed some of that.
I've only got 2 minutes. Wow. Yeah, so there's all kinds of things that we've done that's great. The solar project obviously is a big one. Our CTE program, we're putting kids into the workforce right out of high school. Our FFA program is the best in the state, if not the nation. There's just so many different things that we've done very well. The long-term planning project, which will direct us on how best to focus the district assets for the upcoming future. As a board, we've addressed the liability of our aging closed school sites and how to best deal with them. One of the things that we're engaged with right now is 3 Cs. The Conservation Corps has approached us and possibly either wants to lease or buy the facility, which would be a huge benefit for the community of Auberry, bring some business back in there, as well as provide some needed funding to the district so that we can do some of the improvements we need. I can sit up here all night. There's a lot of things we've done that I'm pretty proud of.
Excellent. Well, you deserve a pat on the back. Let's turn to our last candidate, who is Courtney Rose Burke. I see you're also a native of California.
I'm a native of Auberry.
The free state of Auberry? Graduating through Sierra High with 3 years experience as a board member of the Sonoma County Schools Plus nonprofit organization.
Correct.
Okay. So you should have experience in reading budgets and the workings of community groups. What would be the process in determining if a budget is good for the school system?
Step 1 would be to completely read it. 400 pages might be a little daunting, but I think any board member should definitely sit down and read that. Take a highlighter to it, questions, sticky notes, and really kind of figure out what it is that applies, doesn't apply, things that can potentially go away, things that can be strengthened. And we do have, a $15 million cost for an annual budget, and that's a lot of money to parse out. But I think the first step would be to really take a look at it and take a red marker and a highlighter and kind of figure out where the discrepancies are or questions. Some things definitely have answers and there are reasons for it, but to really sit down and take a look.
Excellent, thank you. What are the factors on which you would base your decisions as a school board member?
First and foremost, does it benefit the students? Because that is why we are all here. From kindergarten and transitional kindergarten up through the seniors and some of the ongoing education for adult ed. If it doesn't benefit them in one shape or another, it should be automatically off any kind of questions or development. Is it fair to the students and the teachers? And will it make things better? And certain things can be made better, and I think those need to be looked at.
You mentioned the teachers, and they've been brought up often. They're part
I
of
love
the
teachers, yes.
part of the partnership here in getting our students educated. What is the role of the union in this district?
I think the union and those who represent the union to the school board are extremely important because they are the voice of the people who are teaching our children. If they are not happy or their needs are not being met via the curriculum or help from outside in, whether it be through the RTI programs, the response to intervention, or in my particular case, the kindergartner class who has 25 little people, and that's kind of a lot. So if the teachers need help, then I think the school board needs to address that situation.
I'm going to give you a chance to also answer the question regarding challenges and opportunities in the district as you see it. We've heard from all the other members, so you should also.
Yes, I think some of the challenges are being overcome with the financial issues that have been going on for the last 6 to 8 years. A lot of it's from the state. A huge part of it was declining enrollment. It seems like this year we're finally on the positive note for enrollment with increase. There's 100 kindergartners. I don't think they've seen 100 kindergartners in probably 20 years. So that's a big deal. So that provides a huge opportunity, but also challenges, because what do you do with the growing schools? We've closed 2 schools, they're all here. I don't know that they're completely busting at the seams here, but they're pretty darn close to it. So there's going to be some challenges if the enrollment keeps increasing, which is a good thing, but also, provides some difficulties. I think attending the long-range planning session was great. I see the emphasis on any kind of extra monies or one-time funds that have come through and are here are being directed towards the technology. Myself being on the computer every day, my husband is a programmer, I see that it's a huge need. I think there should be some of these training programs in the high schools towards tech, towards programming and in networking and stuff, the actual computer networking parts of things. Those certifications can be grabbed right out of high school and you can get full-time employment. So if the technology goes in the direction that it seems like the board has set it up to continue to go, investing in the computers and the infrastructure at all of the schools, that could be a huge opportunity for all the students from kindergartners all through the 8th grade.
Schlaffer will take a shot at that. Schlaffer, yes. Good for you. Schlaffer.
Okay, I would say that I am open to
By the
that
way,
idea.
don't look at me. I'm not. There you go. Your audience is out here. Your audience is out here. I'm feeling on the hot seat.
Yeah. In our long-range planning process, one of the things that is on our list is we need to either use or sell Sierra Elementary, because right now it's not doing anybody any good and it's not going to get any better. So I think that now whether it makes more sense to use it or sell it, I don't know. But that is a question that we have to tackle, and sooner rather than later.
Thank you. Chris, did you want to take a shot at that?
Yeah, I would kind of go along with what Connie said. I think everybody in the district would have liked to keep those 2 schools open. I think that it would have been a good idea if it was possible, but it all comes down to the amount of attendance that you have. The amount of attendance that you have and the ability to pay for it. I think with what they're moving forward with Albury is the best we could do at this point. And as Connie said, if we could get something going to reopen Sierra, I would love that. I personally live in Burro Valley. It would be great. But my kids by that time would probably be at the junior high or the high school. But no, I think that would be fantastic to utilize those. We have a lot of teachers and families and a lot of folks that were real disappointed when they were closed down, but it's the realities of a shrinking attendance and a change in the socioeconomic environment here in the foothills.
Let's turn to Ron. You have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, and just to tag on to what's being said already, we looked at that, economically, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for us. The amount of money that would have to be put into that school to get it back up to a workable standard, we don't have the ADA to support that. We just don't. And I would submit that, in terms of, we've thrown around the term this evening of being a destination district, trying to give that thing a facelift, put lipstick on a pig, so to speak, would not, that's not going to attract students to come to this district. We want to be the example, and those would be key instances where, a new school to attract newer students would be better use of our money.
Thank you. And lastly, Courtney.
Yes, I actually was one of the community members who sat on the Property Surplus Committee talking about Albury Elementary and Sierra Elementary schools and what to do with them. And at the time, it was a huge cost to try to reopen one or other or both. And during that time, we were also still looking at declining enrollment, and the numbers were not there. So rather than sit on both schools and hold tight, we optioned to recommend to the board to make Aubrey Elementary a surplus, considering there was some business interest in actually purchasing the facility. So that's all kind of in its own process. But I think it's important to hold on to Sierra and update it as soon as possible, and especially if any funds come available from a sale of Aubrey Elementary, to input as much as possible over to that school to get it up and running. It was shown to us that the student population growth is over there. There are fewer kids over towards the Aubrey area, where the huge boon is over towards the Sierra School area. So I think to keep that school and to upgrade it as soon as possible, to make it even just, lower grades or younger kids, or that's where the fantastic all-day preschool daycare gets to go or something like that, is big. And so as soon as the funds would be made available, I think it's extremely important that that is a priority that's looked at.
Thank you for your thoughts. The next question is, a lot of talk has been spent on achievement gaps, but what about the students who need advancement? What about the kids who are already advanced? Anyone want to have some thoughts on that? We'll begin with Connie.
Oh, I don't want to go first.
Oh, you don't? Okay, then we'll begin at this end with Courtney.
Okay, I'll go again. It's kind of a hard personal one for me, because I have a child who is extremely advanced in reading, at the very least, in kindergarten. And I see sometimes that all the emphasis and all the aids and all the help is given to the students who need the extra support to bring them up to grade level, which is also very important. But I'm a little frustrated sometimes to see that some of the advanced students are left behind or kept back, because there are not the programs, the advanced reading classes, the groups that they can go into to keep them going. And with that as part of my, aides, I think there need to be trained aides, qualified aides, who are either retired teachers who would still love to spend time with children, or qualified young people who have the training and can get in there and work with some of these kids that are advanced. I don't think he needs to jump a level, but I think he needs to be pushed more than sometimes the teacher is able to in such large classes without any assistance. And when it seems all of the aides tend to go to behavioral issues, I feel like, okay, well, we're not keeping some of the kids who deserve that extra attention to keep them going in the right direction and continue with their strengths. So it's kind of important to me on a personal level that some of the attention is paid to those kids who are a little bit more advanced. And I'd like to see some of the GATE programs brought back, either before or after school. I think this year with the late buses being implemented, that some of those programs can happen. And I know at the elementary school they're starting to talk about that. I know the principal went to the PFA and got some funds to start some after-school activities for the kids that, really could benefit from additional out-of-class academic stimulation.
We turn next to Chrissy Falk. You have some ideas?
I do, and Courtney hit on some of the things that I was going to speak to, and that is with the addition of the late bus, we have opportunities to do more at the elementary level, and what Courtney hit on were some of those things. And so gate type programs, bringing in even things like robotics, all sorts of stuff. And I know our new principal, Alan Harris, over there is a strong believer in that, and he is putting good thought into ways to challenge our highest students. At the high school level, part of new technology would be hopefully the ability to add different challenging courses in an online capacity. So obviously we're a small district. We can't, we can only meet the needs of, well, I shouldn't say it that way. We can only staff teachers in courses when we can fill those courses. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense financially. But what we can do through technology, and if we have a solid infrastructure put into place and computers for the students, is hopefully give them more offerings in an online capacity and challenge them that way.
Thank you. Carrie Quintana, Mrs. Quintana, you have some thoughts?
I do.
You're on the clock.
Thank you. Courtney and Chrissy both touched on a couple of the things that I wanted to mention for our elementary group is the GATE. You know, Mr. G was so great with GATE science, and it really stimulates these young kids' brains, and the overachievers or the advanced students really love that. And I know that it's coming back. At the junior high level, my youngest is junior high, And some of the advanced students there were on the same campus with high school. So I really don't see a problem with taking advanced math students from 8th grade and moving them up to the 9th grade level so that they could be stimulated, and now they're advanced for their learning pathway for math. And the same with language arts. If you have someone that's really just not being all that they can be and they're just kind of holding back because of the rest of the class, I think we really need to target these advanced learners and just give them more challenges.
Excellent. Chris, you have some thoughts?
When you look at the new mission statement to inspire, engage, and challenge all, you look at the recent update to the mission statement, inspire, engage, and challenge all the students. I think that the GATE program is wonderful. My daughter ended up being in it. Was absent for 2 years, but the first year that she was eligible, she was ecstatic. And being one of the junior kids in the class, because we had all grades, it was amazing how much she grew and how much inspiration she took from the older kids. I think that they're essential to keep those programs, not have to worry about them coming back and forth or gaps between years. I think it's something we need to institutionalize as a program to make these kids engaged in these programs for advanced children. I think the online and the technology piece is something that we should be able to leverage. Hopefully as the architecture plan comes in for the IT, for the information technology for the district, maybe there's things that we can do. I know Joanie Lode's come up with some, I keep mentioning Joni, she's fantastic. I can't say enough about her. But she's come up with some online programs that kids are able to log in on their tablets at home and different types of things, thinking outside the box. I think that some of those perspectives could really help us.
We turn to your neighbor, Connie Schwimmer. You have some thoughts.
Yes, of course, my own children are also quite brilliant. Like we all think. But I have to say, number one, I have been so impressed and happy with the level of instruction that my kids have received. And I'm looking out, at parents who are, who are also, our kids run around together, and I think it's just such a caring environment that these kids are thriving, even if they're not in a special program. I think that is something that parents want to see. Parents want to see that their kids have access to something that is extra and additional. In my mind, it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who scored a certain score on a particular test on a particular day. And so I really like what's going on right now on K through 6, a new set of programs that any child has access to. 7 through 12, they do start offering advanced classes, and that's how those kids are stimulated. But K through 6, I really like what's going on now, and I think it's going to really be great for our kids.
Thank you. Bert, you'll have the last word.
If it was my wish, he would be in Sierra School District. But just to let you know, he is excelling in his reading as well, and they are planning on moving him to the next level for that time period in class for reading. So, a lot of good suggestions, and it can happen. All these kids can move on. They can be good readers or good whatever. So, I'm just saying that it can happen.
Thank you, Bert. Mr. Cole. Here's a question on vocational training. Someone asks, which specific programs are possibly going to be funded and taught in the future?
Say it again.
Vocational training. Which programs does the board have, or the district have any plans for additional vocational training? Okay, well, that's going to stimulate it. Well, we'll begin at the other end. Bert, you have your card up first.
I do not know exactly which ones are being planned to open or not, but, you know, that's one of them. I mean, it's close and near to my heart, because I was born and raised right here in this school district. My grandfather started with two other gentlemen this whole school district. And with that, the Burt Weldon Memorial Farm is named after him. So, you know, obviously that's very dear to my heart. And without hands-on experience, my personal feeling, we will lose some kids to other districts that will have those options available. We need to get on board.
Okay, I had the opportunity to be on the Career Technical Education Subcommittee. That's the vocational training. And so there is a process that we followed to assess our CTE program. Number one, where are the jobs in the future? Not right now, but in the next 10 years. What is the job growth going to be? Number two, what is the pay of those jobs, okay? Maybe McDonald's is really going to be booming, but is that what you want to train your kids to be? Maybe not. And number three, what is student interest? Because I think we all know that you can lead those teenagers to water and they may not drink. So that is a process that we went through to stand up a new program for career, medical careers, and we have certifications coming out of that. So we need to take the next step and either beef up an existing pathway like welding, or turn our attention to something new. But that whole cycle of evaluation has to happen.
Chris, we turn to you. Mr. Rosenlund, you're ready.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of add on what Connie had said. The ones that I understand are a semi-permanent basis now are the medical careers and the nursing careers, and that the alternating ones were the heavy equipment and the welding. I think that, as Connie said, if you're going to set up these classes and you don't have kids that are going to show up, I think the interest from the students is critical. But I do think that in the past, some of the construction and the automotive ones have been ones that have led people to careers or have been fruitful also. So I think that we need to understand that we have to have the kids involved in help making the decisions, because we don't have the money to put it in areas with empty classrooms. So if the kids are going to come, if the jobs are available, I firmly support that we continue to put more resources into that. Because even though we have 39.3% of our kids that are ready for community college, that leaves a lot of kids that aren't necessarily ready and that aren't going to go to college. We need to be able to give them some tools, some skills so they can get a job. And even of that 39%, not all of them are going to get a job right away anyway. So this might be a way of putting, food on the table for a young family, or giving somebody the confidence to do some things and to keep his spirits high until he gets his career job. So I think it's something that we need to continue to support.
Thank you. Mrs. Quintana, you're right, yes.
I think the question was, is there new career tech education programs on the table to look at?
Yes.
Okay. My opinion is what we have right now is the health and the welding and the heavy equipment, which is going good, and we can put students in those classes. We also have digital video that the kids are just really fired up on, the social media and the pathway to a job. It's not, there's no certification or something, but I would call that a career type class that we offer. We can only have as many career tech education programs as enrollment. So I think we need to build on what we have now and keep the ag strong with the welding and the heavy equipment, and really build on the technical side of it. The digital video is great. I'm really happy with that.
Thank you. And Board Member Chrissy Hall.
I think think everyone just did a wonderful job of answering and sort of taking away what I was going to say. So the only thing I could really add to that, and Connie really did a nice job on hitting on those things, is that our superintendent and our high school principal do an outstanding job of surveying the students to see what they are interested in. And we can only do the things that the students are interested in. So if something may sound really great, but if the interest isn't there, it doesn't make sense for us to do it. But that piggybacks on what everyone else has said.
And Mr. Eldridge? Are you still green?
Well,
Sorry. No, it's
can we start in the middle of the table on the next go around? Because by the time it gets all the way down here, it's all.
Well, if you don't have anything to add.
I don't. They've all touched on everything.
Courtney, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Sure, yes. I graduated 15 years ago, and there's probably 30 kids in the ENT fire program. And I'd probably say 20 of those kids all went into careers which they are still in now. Some of them turned into fire captains, some of them are ambulance drivers, but they all started with what they learned in high school. So if there was a perfect world and all the money we could find, I think an ENT and a fire program would be one that would be a good fit for the community up here. It really saddened me to hear that even the wood shop and both auto classes have disappeared. And talking to the local mechanic who can't find any 19, 20-year-old graduates with any auto skills because the classes have disappeared is also a little disheartening. So I think some of the life skills classes may have been some of the first to leave with the financial issues, but I think should also be some of the first ones to come back. Because I think when you have 40% at a state level, I don't specifically know the numbers here, and I don't know that anybody knows exactly, but if there's a 40% non-college after graduating high school, those kids need to have some skills. And I think practical skills in so many, in those fields is huge. And so I'd love to see some of those programs come back. I think what they've done with the nursing is huge because that is, a huge growth in the industry right now. I have lots of friends who are nurses. But I also do know that there have been young boys that have moved up here specifically to get involved with the FFA program, the heavy equipment and the welding. So I think what we've got is very good, and I'd love to see a few more of those programs come back.
Thank you. This is a question just for new candidates. I'm going to respectfully write her and ask the question. How many board meetings have you attended in the last year?
Gone to about, what month are we in? October. I think I've been to 7 of the 10 this year.
This is the 6 of them. I've been to one.
You've been to one? Yeah. Carrie?
I think 4 or 5.
Okay. Bert, have you?
I went to a budget meeting and I wrote the minutes on a few of them.
Okay. So you've all had some attention to it. Excellent. I'm fearful of asking this question.
Oh, just ask it.
Please comment on Common Core.
Okay. You want me to go first?
Yeah, we'll start in the middle.
Okay, let me go first. Common Core was not my friend for the first rollout when Zane was in 5th grade. I've learned that my stress shouldn't be his stress because it looked so odd. I think Common Core is good. It's not, everyone's Common Core needs to go away. We hate it. It's teaching our kids to be critical thinkers, thinking outside the box, and for jobs that we don't even know exist yet. So we don't even know what we're preparing our kids that are in school. Technology, we know it's going to be technology driven, but we really don't know. So I think Common Core is good.
Okay, anyone else want to tackle this? Okay, Chrissy, yeah.
I would piggyback on what Carrie said, and when this whole thing hit and everybody went crazy over it, it is something that we are expected to follow, and how we follow it is how we as a district choose to follow it. And we've got some outstanding teachers who do a great job of teaching our children using these standards. What I want to convey also is some of the teachers I've talked to about this are very pleased with Common Core because of what Carrie was saying, that it makes our students think differently.